or collections from the recently concluded Barbie Fry, even the ball that we had in December. We ask that you make an extra effort to collect those funds off the road for us, because every mickle makes a muckle. Every collection helps us in driving our charity account, and we really need those funds in. So if you have the funds, especially from the Barbie Fry, please send them in to DLG Willie so that we can move forward. Other projects, we had a terrific kids graduation earlier throughout the month of June at 3 schools at least, Michael Practicing, Coburn Gardens, as well as Lanneman Prep. This terrific kids program, as some of you know, is a special program under Kiwanis umbrella that encourage young students to be leaders and great community leaders, and we give them cash as well as certificates based on the teacher's recommendation. The big project that we have coming up on the 18th of July, that's Saturday, 18th of July, is the benefit performance of the National Dance Theatre Company, NDTC. The tickets are only $4,000. So it's going to be an engaging night of dance and culture. And we ask all our supporters, all Kiwanis Club of Kingston members, buy at least 2 tickets. The funds will go towards Kiwanis charities, and we're looking forward to your patronage and your support. $4,000 for the tickets. You can contact either DP Marcel, myself, or DLG Willie to get the tickets. Saturday, July 18th.
It's Saturday 19th, Press. 19th.
Thank you. 19th, you see? 19th. But it's a Saturday night. Yes, it's Saturday, 19th of July. $4,000, please, especially KCOK members, roll out, buy the tickets. We need your support. Also, I welcome home quite a few Kiwanians, including DP Chris, who attended the district convention in Niagara, Canada, and the international convention was attended in Pittsburgh by yours truly. So I'm sure you met a lot of friends and gained a lot of ways in which we can improve our club and the Kiwanis movement. So tonight, we are privileged and distinguished to have the topic tonight is the role of the Ombudsman and in Jamaican democracy. And we have as our guest speaker no other than the Honorable Donna Parchment Brown, who was in fact the political ombudsman from 2015 to 2022. And I'm sure later on she's going to share with us her thoughts or insight in the role of the ombudsman and how it's important as we move forward into what appears to be an election season. Nothing has been called yet, but all the indicators are there. And we look forward to hearing from her experiences and her recommendations in moving forward. So again, I extend a special welcome to Ms. Donna Parchment Brown. Welcome. You saw her earlier, and we're going to hear much more from her and a formal introduction later on in the meeting. So that's it from me as president, but I see that we have quite a few members who are here and visiting Kiwanians. So I'm going to ask President-designate Zuri to take over the duties of giving them a proper and fit welcome to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston's meeting. Over to you, Zuri.
Thank you, President Stephen.
No problem.
To everyone present on the platform, good evening and welcome to another meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. We are certainly anticipating an exciting meeting, especially in light of what is happening in Jamaica during these times and the constant thing in the news. And some people might refer to it as a silly season. And election is, well, the air is pregnant with talks of an election pending. So it is quite fitting that we will deal with the political landscape, and we'll be having a special guest speaker who I want to formally welcome now. So I want to say a special welcome on behalf of the Board of Directors and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston to the Honorable Mrs. Donna Parchment Brown. We are certainly looking forward to your presentation. And if there are any special guests of Mrs. Brown online, we extend special welcome to you as well. I'm sure you will enjoy your time with us this evening. At this time, I want to give the opportunity to our Kiwanis family online to share greetings. So I'm going to invite you to open your videos if you choose to, and your microphones, and bring us greetings from wherever you are across the world. And as usual, we're going to start with visiting Kiwanis clubs from outside of Jamaica. So if we have any Kiwanis clubs online from any country outside of Jamaica, this is your opportunity to bring us greetings.
Good evening, President Zuri.
Good evening.
This is President Eddie, President Stephen. How are you doing? Of course, you know, we're Global Alliance, we're Division 23C, actually based in Kingston, but most of our members are overseas. We have Director Tina online, President she's in Las Vegas, Director Angela online in Atlanta and Orlando. And we have two other members. We have DP Esther and what a member Camille in Orlando here, and Gary is in Jamaica. We bring greetings and we brought up a very good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, President Eddie, and we are happy to have you and your delegation sharing with us this evening. We do hope that you will enjoy the presentation this evening. Do we have any other Kiwanis clubs from outside of Jamaica? How about Division 25? Do we have any visiting Kiwanis clubs from Division 25?
Good evening, President Designate Story.
Good evening, Director.
Good evening. This is Director Crystal Heaven from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. I'm seeing Director David as well as DP Megan on. I'm not sure if anyone else is on. Looking forward to a wonderful meeting, especially with our guest speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining, and it is our pleasure to have you visit with us.
1 second, Zuri, somebody has a mic on, an open mic, and we're getting some TV or some background sound. But please close it. And I know some people open the mic because they're gonna say welcome, but we don't want the background noise, please. Thank you.
Thank you, DP Stewart. So we were at Division 25. Do we have any other Kiwanis clubs online from Division 25?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is the Katisha. I bring greetings from Coastal Trelawney. At the moment, there are 4 members online, and we're looking forward to a very enjoyable evening. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining. And we are hoping that you will, in fact, have a very enjoyable evening with us. Do we have any other clubs from Division 25? All right, let's roll on over to Division 24. All right, so we see that we're keeping the campaign trail going to Division 23 East.
Good afternoon, PD Zuri. This is DA Judith from the Kiwanis Club of 23 East Professionals in Andrew Online. On behalf of my president, Anna Ziki Lightburn Price, I bring you warm greetings from all the members of the club. Currently, there are 3 of us online, myself, Raquel, and Kevin. I know the others are joining shortly, but I want to say it's a pleasure to be here with my sister, Donna. Hi, Donna.
Hi. Oh, nice that you're here, Jude.
Yes, that's me. That's me, right? And happy to be here. And I couldn't miss this meeting for anything. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You're welcome. And we know you are going to have a good evening. So thanks to you and your delegation for joining. And it's indeed our pleasure to have you. So we are at Division 23 East. Any other Kiwanis clubs in Division 23 East?
Yes, PD Zuri, I bring you very warm greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston on behalf of our President Sophie Fairman. We're happy to be meeting with you this evening, and we're looking forward to a very interesting discussion with the Political Ombudsman. We are happy that we are 6 members strong, and we hope to have others joining. Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. You're always welcome. Always good to hear from our New Kingston family. Thanks for joining. And like you, we are looking forward to an exciting presentation. I'm sure it will be. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 East?
A pleasant good evening, Zuri. This is VP Sophia from Papine, AC Papine. We currently have 6 persons in our delegation, and we look forward to a very informative and lively meeting. Thanks for having us.
You're most welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm sure it's going to be very lively, right? So we're looking forward to that too. And all the best for just learning and just finding quite something to take away from the presentation. Do we have any clubs from Division 23 West? All right, let's have a big rally in Division 23 Central.
Unless, PD Zuri, unless you're here with me.
Hello, President Eurydice.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Great. Well, at this time, I represent 23 Central Surrey Online. And at this time, we have, well, I'm the only one in the meeting at the moment, but I'm sure others will join soon. So thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to this presentation with the Parliamentary Ombudsman. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're among family, so you're not alone. It's lively spirit, good company.
Thank you.
Most welcome. We're still at Division 23 Central. Do we have any other visiting Kiwanis clubs from
Good
division?
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is VP Omar from the Kiwanis Club North St. Andrew. We are 2 online. I'm expecting others to join. Thank you for the invite for this meeting. I'm hoping you'll have an exciting meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be quite an exciting meeting.
I think so too.
Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 Central? How about our SLPs? Do we have any SLP members online showing their colors this evening? How about guest of Kiwanians? Well, I won't delay any further. I'll say enjoy, have a great meeting. Thank you all for joining. And you are always invited to share with us. So we're going to say see you next week around the same time when we bring you another exciting meeting. Thank you all. Back to you, President Stephen.
Thank you, President Designate Zuri. Welcome again to each and every one of you who are here online with us. I'm going to ask DP Marcel to quickly go through if there are any birthdays or special occasions this week for anybody.
I am here, Pres.
Hearing you and seeing you.
Oh, okay, good. Did you mean DP Marcel or me?
I meant DP. I meant you. Sorry, a slip of the tongue.
Oh, okay. You said Marcel, so that's.
I know. I have
All
about
right.
10 papers around me.
Thank
All
you,
right,
sir.
go ahead.
I totally understand what kind of evening it is.
Yes,
And if you'll allow me, Press, to just take up a few seconds to add my voice in
Yes.
saying welcome to the Honorable Donna Parchment Brown. Really, really happy to have you here. And then just moving right along, our birthdays and our special occasions for this week. We have DP Jeff Madden and Carol, who are celebrating their anniversary on the 8th, which is today. We also have Kiwanian Anthony Harris and Leonie, who celebrate their wedding anniversary on the 9th, which is tomorrow. And we have Director Errol Hamilton celebrating his birthday on the 13th. And the big one for today is the gentleman who we call the DJ of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, DP Stuart Spencer. He celebrated. I'm just going to quickly ask if there's anyone online who is celebrating a special occasion to just open your microphone, share with us so that we can share with you. Anyone?
Happy birthday, Stewie.
No?
Thank you.
Hello, it don't come yet. It's 2 more days. Lady Judith is 2 days' time. Call him in 2 days' time.
I might forget.
All right. Well, if there's no one else, it's back to you, Stephen.
All right, DP Newton, thank you again for that. I'm looking for, we have Kiwanis Education next on the agenda with DLG Desmond, but I just looked and I'm not sure if I see him online.
President, unfortunately, he was bounced off and he's gone to another meeting, past Lieutenant Governor meeting. So I will do Kiwanis Education if you wish.
Yes, please do.
Good evening, fellow Kiwanians, guests. This evening, I thought for Kiwanis Education, I'll speak to you briefly on the origin of service leadership clubs. Some of the information I got from the history of Kiwanis in Jamaica between the years 1964 to 2009 by Professor Patrick Bryan. The sponsor youth movement in Jamaica originated during the 1975-76 administrative year when the then Lieutenant Governors of Division 23 and 24, Distinguished Lieutenant Governor Excellence Lloyd Diston Sr., the Downtown Kingston Club, and DLG Henry Strong of the Ocho Rios Club respectively decided to place emphasis on the development of the sponsor youth movement, rather than the expansion of Kiwanis clubs. In consequence, 10 groups were chartered. Division 23 at the time, there were 2 Division 23 and 24. In 23, we had 4 key clubs, 2 Kiwanis clubs, 2 Builders clubs. In Division 24, we had 2 key clubs. Following its international counterparts, Jamaica Kiwanis introduced children at a relatively young age to the objects and practices of Kiwanis, starting at basic school level and going through primary, elementary, secondary, and tertiary education institutions. The Kiwanis were also committed to organizing Builders clubs in primary and all-age schools, key clubs in high schools, and Circle K in tertiary institutions. By 2006, Circle K International for tertiary students and nearly 1,300 members on over 500 university and college campuses in 13 nations. The first Circle K club, now known as CKI in the Caribbean, was established at the College of Bahamas, the first CKI club in Jamaica, and the second in the Caribbean was organized by Kiwanis Club of Kingston and Michael College on the 27th of October 1974 during the presidency of DLGE Robert Blackwood. The first Key Club was organized by Ocha Rios Secondary Junior at the Ocha Rios Secondary Junior, the Ocha Rios Secondary Junior School, High School. Key Club was sponsored by the Key Club of Ocha Rios, and it was the first Key Club to be chartered in Jamaica on the 21st of September 1970. After that, in March 1971, the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay chartered the Key Club of Northwestern Academy. And later on, Kingston College Key Club, which a lot of people widely believe was the first Key Club formed in Jamaica, was chartered by the Kiwanis Club in March 1974. KK started in Jamaica in 2000 at the Hemingway Preparatory School sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. It received its charter on 15th of April 2000. KKs recruit members from 5 to 11 years old in the preparatory and elementary school level. And finally, the Kiwanis Club of Kingston remains committed to developing competent and caring leaders through our service leadership program as we seek to fulfill the fourth object of Kiwanis International, which states to develop by precept example more intelligent, aggressive, and servile citizenship. The challenge in going forward is to find ways to enrich each new member's service leadership experience and make it more meaningful, as well as our continuous efforts of involving our members, especially our newer members, is integral to the success of our leadership program. President Stephen, I trust that was number of members found that informative, particularly our newer Kiwanians. They would have learned something from that in terms of the growth of service leadership program over the years since it was chartered in Jamaica. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, DLG Willie. Very informative, and give a little bit of the historical background to Key Club, particularly here in Jamaica. Now, of course, we are running a little bit late, but I would like to go into our main presentation and to welcome our guest speaker. We have none other than DP Christopher Robinson, who will now formally introduce our main speaker. I think I saw DP Chris online earlier.
Thank you, President Stephen.
I'm seeing you. Good, good. Over
Fellow
to you.
Kiwanians, visitors, friends, good evening. One of the challenges that one faces when you're asked to introduce a guest speaker is that if you happen to know the guest speaker for the better part of nearly 40 years, you have a challenge now to decide exactly what you need to say to introduce her properly. So tonight I'm going to try to be as professional as I can. So I will mention nothing about her love for cheesecake. I will mention nothing about her love for Jamaica cultural activities and some of the dance, Dinky Mini or Kumina. I will mention nothing about her love for reggae music. I will say nothing about how she loves going to the Maroon Festival each year. So I won't mention any of those things. I will try and stay as professional as I can tonight in introducing the Honorable Donna Parchment Brown, who is a product of the parish of St. Elizabeth, the breadbasket parish. And I know DP Judith, who is online, will say that, oh yeah, she's also
here.
Hampton girl.
Here.
She is the daughter of two outstanding public servants for the parish of St. Elizabeth, the Honorable J.H.D. Parchment and his wife Rosetta, both who have served the parish of St. Elizabeth with great distinction over the years. She is a graduate of the Hampton High School for Girls, where she also has gone back and assisted at school as part of the Hampton, I'm tempted to say Old Girls Association, but that's what they call themselves. And she was president of that association. She was also for many years, the head of the St. Elizabeth Homecoming Association. So having studied at Hampton, she then left to come to Kingston, where she went to the University of the West Indies to do studies in public administration, but then she found a love for law and switched faculties and studied law. And she graduated through law and was admitted to the bar in 1981. So in law that she wanted to know other aspects of law. So she went off and to a number of universities overseas, including the Cambridge University and the School of Advanced Legal Studies in England. Now, with a distinguished legal career in both the public and private sector, and that includes sojourns at the Crisis Commission, the City of Kingston Credit Union, the General Legal Counsel. She is also one of the founding members of the Dispute Resolution Foundation and served as its executive director for a number of years. And she has also served as Director of Justice Reform in the Ministry of Justice. She was appointed Custos Rotalorum for the parish of St. Andrew and awarded the Order of Distinction, Commander Class, for her contributions to the legal profession and public servant. But you'd think that after all of that, she won't have anything else to do. In 2015, she was appointed by the Governor General to be the Political Ombudsman, with the responsibility to serve as an advocate and mediator for the safe conduct of elections in Jamaica. And she served from 2015 to 2022. The Honorable Donna Parchment Brown is now a consultant for justice and development issues. She's a notary public and is a firm believer in the prayer of Jamaica'S, looking forward to continuous service to her country. She will tell you that she lives by the alma mater of her school with the utmost courage and courtesy. Fellow Kiwanians, visitors, friends, let us welcome our esteemed guest speaker tonight, the Honorable Donna Parchment Brown.
My dear Kiwanians, thank you so much, Chris, for that very, very generous introduction. When you have known a person as long as you have known me, clearly there are lots of things to say and not to say. And I have had the great honor of being in your company and seeing your own life unfold in front of me. And so when you called me and said, oh, you knew right away that I would have to say yes, not just because I love the topic, but because I am aware of the work of the Kiwanians in Jamaica. And I believe that I would have had to make the effort to be here with you. So thank you kindly for your invitation and your warm welcome. President Stephen, it's good to be here with you and all your members and guests. And I want to thank Chairman of the Club Meetings Committee, Stuart, for the way in which he has assisted me in preparing for today. I also greet all your directors, members, and it's a special pleasure to be with you in your 61st year of service here in Kingston, Jamaica. I must say I enjoyed Zuri Johnson's President-elect management of that last section, President Greg, because that smile just doesn't stop. But I guess everybody's accustomed to that except me. But it was a real pleasure to be so warmly, to see that warmth in your meeting. And I want to thank you for the important work that you have been doing for the people of Kingston and beyond. Your blood collection center at the National Chest Hospital is a good example of doing something that's not particularly exciting, but which is very important for the well-being of the public. I extend warm greetings also, if I may, to your participants from beyond Jamaica. And I want to acknowledge, if present, any of your high school key clubites and the tertiary certificate members. It's a lovely evening and it's nice to be with you. I'm not a lover of Zoom because I love to touch the flesh. I love to see the expressions on the faces of all who are present and enjoy your energy. However, I will do my best to keep you engaged throughout this presentation. Your name, the word Kiwanis, is particularly apt for my presence here today. I know it comes from the American First Nations of Detroit language, the words Nunk Kiwanis, meaning we trade or we share our talents. This evening, I hope we will share our talents, our knowledge, and our desire for a better society. Within that context, it's important for me to highlight two of your objects, which I believe are particularly well aligned with what I will be discussing with you this evening. First, and these were read earlier or mentioned earlier, to develop by precept and example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship. This is particularly important in the face of what many of us describe as apathy in the public domain. Secondly, your object to cooperate in creating and maintaining that sound public opinion and high idealism, which make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, and goodwill. And we know that, there is a lot of skepticism about justice, and there's downright attack on the concept of patriotism. But I do believe that public opinion and high idealism is very important for a decent country fit to live in. Jamaica's parliament has several commissions that fulfill specific oversight and investigative functions using the model of the ombudsman. And I mention these because when I spoke with Stephen, with Stewart, he mentioned that there was some interest in the idea of a parliamentary ombudsman and generally speaking, the commissions of parliament. So I will mention a few of them. And I'm so glad to see DLG William here, who I've known for a long, 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 long time. And so it's always nice to see you, William.
Thank you, Donna.
These commissions include the Integrity Commission, which we have heard a lot about in the media, which was established to combat corruption, including receiving reports from many categories of persons in public life, ranging from the police to politicians. The Public Defender, which investigates complaints against using natural justice principles and the requirements of the Jamaican Constitution to look at problems faced by the public based on actions by the state, and they're also empowered to seek redress. INDICOM is a civilian body which investigates actions by the security forces, actions that may cause death or injury to members of the public or reflect abuse of citizens' rights. Fourthly, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. This oversees our electoral process, its integrity, promotes free and fair elections, and promotes public confidence in our democracy. Finally, the Political Ombudsman Commission, the focus of my presentation this evening. And I would like to spend a little time on that. And just to say, when I was appointed by the Governor General to take on this responsibility in 2015, my husband's colleagues at work somehow got wind that I had been so appointed. And they said, so CB, your wife, what is she going to be, the political ambience? And I tried to be the political ambience because I think setting the right climate and the right tone is really, really important. Others asked if I was going to be the political ambush woman. And to be honest, I had to ambush a few people here and there during my tenure from 2015 to 2022. But really, the duty of the political ombudsman, as established from 2002, was to investigate possible breaches of the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct, commonly called the Code, and such breaches by political parties, their members, officers, and supporters. And if you have never seen the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct, I think that's something you could Google and become familiar with what is there. It's very pleasant reading because it shows the commitment of the Jamaican society to having good politics, engaging everyone with people free to have political positions, to participate in politics, to campaign, and yet do it within a framework of integrity. So it's very, very pleasant reading, actually. And that is the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct. The Commission is also required to look at actions likely to prejudice good relations between supporters of various political parties, as is laid out in Section 12 of the Political Ombudsman Interim Act. So the two major responsibilities for investigation: one, breaches of the code; two, actions that could prejudice good relations between supporters of different political parties. And it is to be noted that it is in the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct that the concept of the Political Ombudsman was stated as a mechanism to ensure that the agreements made by the political parties would be honored and at least would be monitored and compliance sought. Now, it is to be noted that the fact that a person files an action in the court or has the right to file an action in the court does not stop the ombudsman from doing an investigation. And in fact, the idea was that, yes, we have access to the courts, we respect the courts, but you want a quick response to a hot problem. So when something arises that could be problematic in the public space between political actors, you want to nip it in the bud. You want to talk to the people involved and ensure that it does not escalate. And that is why there was an idea that you should have an individual standing as a commission who would be able to respond quickly to problems and also to engage the public and the media in the actions being taken by the office. There are some other parts of the legislation, the Political Ombudsman Interim Act, that you might find interesting. Section 8, which generally applies to all the commissions of Parliament. They have similar sections. Because we're neutral, independent bodies, not subject to ministries or ministers, but to the Parliament, there is a body established in the Parliament, a joint committee, bipartisan, to deal with issues that may arise by the Ombuds Commissions. It consists of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the President of the Senate, the Leader of Government Business in the House, and the Leader of Opposition Business in the House, along with the Minister responsible for the public service. So they serve as a commission supporting all of the commissions of Parliament. And they allow us to look at things like staff employment and other issues that may arise from time to time. Another important section is Section 6. And Section 6 disqualifies certain persons from holding the office of political ombudsman. So yes, any nice, decent, well-thinking person, generally speaking, would be eligible. But likewise, there are some persons who are not eligible. And these include members of the Senate, members of the House of Representatives, undischarged bankrupts, and persons convicted of offenses of dishonesty or moral turpitude. Those four categories are barred from being the political ombudsman. This is what the framework has been for the work of the Office of the Political Ombudsman. I think you will find it also of interest that the Commission has been commended by the Organization of American States, who consider the Political Ombudsman Commission to be an innovative and effective institution, as reported in their 2016 general election report in Jamaica. And they put this office forward as a best practice recommendation to other countries in the Americas to be followed. I must say, as the Ombudsman incumbent at the time, I felt very honored and proud that they were able to see the work we were doing and to see the value of it to Jamaica and its worth for replication elsewhere. So Kiwanians and friends, where are we today? Why do we need to discuss this topic at all? Do we all know as much about it as we should and many other matters in Jamaica's life? I hope this evening to share a few more thoughts with you, because it is important for us to be discussing this matter. We are in what is called the campaign period, and although the Ombudsman's function is 365, 24/7, the campaign period is usually a period of intensified activity in the public and political space leading up to an election. Now, the campaign period is specified by law. It does not begin when the Prime Minister announces the election. It begins a certain number of months after the last election. I believe 54 months after. I could be wrong on that, but some 6 months before the next election is due, you are legally within the campaign period. And so we're heavily in the campaign period now, as you would have observed from the actions of both individuals and political parties. The campaign period means that, for example, the Town and Country Planning Act, which permits people to put up signage without needing to apply and get approval from the municipalities, they would be able to do that. So billboards and other campaign materials are legally permissible within this period, within certain rules. So the work of the Political Ombudsman, which deals with elections, is in front of us now and particularly urgent and important. I'm sure many of you would have seen, for example, advertising on television in the evening, where we've seen a number of advertisements which show the work of the Ministry of Economic Growth that the Prime Minister heads. We have seen a number of advertisements showing the Prime Minister and the work that he has been doing across the country during his tenure through this ministry. For me, as your former political ombudsman, not in office, having no authority at this time, it is very interesting and sometimes distressing for me. I can understand where a ministry would be doing advertising in the lead up to the opening of Parliament, or if we're doing an annual report, or if the ministry is doing something unusual, or if there's a change of minister. We are in the campaign period, and as far as I'm aware, because it is a ministry, public funds are being used to advertise the work of the Prime Minister and his office to the public. For me, it's a little daunting because the first section of the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct, Section 1F, says candidates or others acting on behalf of candidates must not use funds derived from any source, public or private, to improperly influence electoral choices. So if we're using public funds, we have to be conscious of whether that's appropriate or not. For me, that means public funds should not be used unfairly or outside of what the law of good governance would require. Funds of the public should not be used to promote an individual or a partisan interest, even when cloaked in an official garment. So I start with that because, as I would have felt moved to write to the Prime Minister if I were in office, saying, you may be aware that this may be interpreted as a breach of the code, and this is an undesirable thing at your level of leadership. I might have been so moved. We have seen disputes regarding campaign materials before the courts for determination of rights. This should have been settled by the Political Ombudsman Commission within 10 days or less, and the public advised even while before the court. Rather, the matter seems to be dragging on and awaiting a ruling and, incurring a lot of expense for the parties who are involved, because the Political Ombudsman is already paid for from the public purse. So there's no need generally to pay legal fees to address a matter in the courts unless the Political Ombudsman is unable to do what is required. And I just made the point here that Political Ombudsman was a very, very lightly funded institution. Just 7 staff members, less than $25 million a year for budget. Most years nearer to 20 million. The February 2025, the 1-year anniversary of the unilateral enactment of the Political Ombudsman Amendment Act by the government of Jamaica, we found that in the year 2023, when there was no ombudsman in office, they got an allocation of almost 50 million. And in 2024, after the amendment, there was an allocation of some 60 million to the office. The Electoral Commission has said that those funds have not been utilized. They have used their existing funds. However, it's interesting that while the commission is operational, it's essentially starved for funds, but when it's no longer funds become available. For me, a big concern with the legislative amendment is that there was inadequate consultation for such an important change. An important change because the Ombudsman's Commission was established after wide consultations across Jamaica, looking at a number of institutions, the Electoral Commission, the Public Defender, the Political Ombudsman Commission, and yet in making such a major change in its structure, it was a bit hasty. And you will see why I say this, because the memorandum of objects and reasons for the change over the name of the Honorable Minister of Justice states as follows. The office of the Political Ombudsman has been vacant since November 15, 2022. The vacancy has resulted in the functions of the office not being carried out. Those functions include the investigation of complaints of misconduct or bias by political parties, their members, or their supporters. A decision has therefore been taken in 2024, although vacant from 2022, not to appoint a political ombudsman, but to amend the act to provide for the Electoral Commission of Jamaica to be the political ombudsman and to make the necessary consequential amendments to the Electoral Commission Act. And the bill seeks to give effect to that decision. With that legislation, sections 5, 6, 7, and 8 are repealed. Thank you for posting the Civic Education Handbook. I hope everybody will download it. It's a free ebook and a lot of good information, especially for your club meetings. There are lots of questions at the back of each chapter, and also for your key clubites and other young Kiwanians. The Political Ombudsman Interim Act at Section 5. I'm not trying to kill you with legislation, but we're a country of laws. And it's important for us to know some of the basic rules that govern and facilitate our life as a country. So Section 5 provides that the Governor General, after consultation with the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition, appoints an ombudsman. And for an initial term of 7 years and reappointment possibly for a further term of 5 years. I served an entire term of 7 years, the greatest honor of my professional life to date. Section 6, as mentioned earlier, disqualifies certain persons from appointment, members of the Senate and House of Representatives. So by repealing Section 6, members of Parliament are now eligible to be members of the Political Ombudsman Commission. So you will be aware that the Electoral Commission of Jamaica has members who are political appointees. And so by repealing this section, the members of the Political Ombudsman Commission, who are already members of the ECJ, now have the authority. The amendment removes the disqualification. What it removes also, in my humble opinion, is the assurance of confidentiality, neutrality, and quick action. Because if a complaint comes against a political party, and both parties are to look at it and determine what, if any, action is to be taken, you will understand that as a committee, that would take a little more time and would be fraught with some challenges. I think the idea that political party members will be the arbiters of political conduct is an unfortunate departure from the original thinking, and I don't see how it improves the situation. I mentioned the agreement and declaration on political conduct again, a result of consultations, a code that was signed by leaders of the Jamaica Labour Party and the PNP and binds all political parties. Its critical and lofty goals require monitoring and accountability, hence the Political Ombudsman. Let us be clear. I have a lot of respect for the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. It has carried out its duties with great integrity and exceedingly well. But in my opinion, the Political Ombudsman's role is different from the Electoral Commission's role. Their focus is on the infrastructure, conduct, and integrity of elections, while the Political Ombudsman focus is on the climate and conduct of political actors all year round. I don't know if there are any architects or contractors in the room, but if we were to look at the ECJ, it would be like a contractor, and the Political Ombudsman would be like an interior designer. Or if you look at another situation, a hospital, the doctor and the nurse, both having important, equally important, but different roles, requiring different mindsets and different resources to be effectively carried out. Persons have asked me, and I've seen in different fora, and I've also considered some of the following issues which you may have thought about. And I would like to ask that if you have any question in mind, please write your question down. So when we come shortly to the Q&A, you are ready with your questions, which hopefully I will be able to answer, and if not, someone else in your company will be able to. So the first question is, who is the Political Ombudsman now? The answer to that is that there's a panel of 8 Electoral Commission of Jamaica members, 4 of whom are specially appointed by the Governor General, and 4 represent the 2 major political parties and are appointed by the political parties, and a 9th member who is the Director of Elections. So instead of an individual, we have a committee of 8 who will deal with matters of the Political Ombudsman. And just as an aside, the highest court of the land, in the land, the Court of Appeal, 3 people sit to hear the most complex commercial or criminal matters. 3 people. Sorry? 3 people. But to determine whether a sign is properly erected or removed, to determine whether funds have been improperly utilized within the political campaign, to determine whether funds have been appropriately received, to determine whether actions are taking place in constituencies to fix roads, to give out animal feed, to give out water tanks and so on, whether these breach the code of conduct. Those require a panel of 8 persons. You know, you have to help me with that one. I think that's a bit of a reach. It's like a committee set up to make sure very little gets done. Another question, how are complaints to be submitted? A recent release from the ECJ POC by May 5th statement on their website addresses some of what I'm talking here, and complaints are to be submitted in writing to a senior member of the ECJ staff, who was before that the registrar of political parties. Not to handle, but to receive the complaints and to respond that they have been received. But the decisions and investigation are still to be done by the ECJ members. How are confidentiality and neutrality assured? Beyond the integrity of the members, I have no information on this. I'm not sure if they have re-engaged the team of trained police officers all across Jamaica who have been trained to assist the Office of the Political Ombudsman. One question of interest to me and perhaps to you, depending on where you live and what you see around you, is will the Political Ombudsman Commission, ECJ, visit any constituency to get a first-hand look at any reports or issues and meet with citizens if needed? This was a very helpful part of the work during my tenure. You learned a lot by being on the ground and observing what is happening. I remember going to a particular constituency where the former MP was not running in the election, but the funds that had been allocated to the constituency were being utilized by someone who was not yet elected to be the MP to do work on a football field. And a number of pieces of heavy equipment were there. and the money that had been allocated and not reassigned was being used for that purpose. In my opinion, that was inappropriate, if not actually illegal. Or to see road work going on, marling and so on, and you reach out to the person whose name is written on the truck as the owner of the truck, and they say, well, so-and-so asked me if I would help the candidate with this. And that would have been, $1 million or more of material provided and labor. And this, of course, would have had to be reported to the ECJ, but it was not reported by the person who was doing that gifting to the candidate in breach of appropriate legislation. I also wonder whether the custodians and other civic leaders have been engaged by the POC ECJ for signing the code of conduct by the party leaders and by candidates before the 2024 local government elections, and if that is planned for upcoming general elections. And you might ask, why do you need to have that ceremony when everybody knows what the law is? But the truth is, everybody does not know what the law is. And what the political ombudsman, my predecessor, Bishop Harold Blair, and myself have been able to do with that forum held once the candidates have been nominated is that it allows the head of the parish, not the political head, but the civic head representing the Governor General, to host all the candidates and their team members, and to have the candidates listen to a presentation on the code of conduct, receive copies of the code of conduct, and sign pledging their intention to live by the code of conduct. No, it doesn't result in perfection, but it will lead to some persons who did not know, not falling into error and doing the wrong thing. And also it would mean that people would understand that they're being looked at by people who they also respect. Another question for me is whether the proper arrangements were made to ensure that the staff of the political ombudsman received whatever pensions, remuneration, back pay they were entitled to at the time of the change in February 2024. And if those who were retained have been employed on new or upgraded contracts or as permanent employees to ensure that their human resource needs are properly covered. The Political Ombudsman Commission publication of the Civic Education Handbook was one of our proudest moments. It is a free ebook which originally was available on the Political Ombudsman's website. Unfortunately, I believe that website is not operational up to the last time I checked. However, you have received the link, and I hope that you will use it heavily. We had a small youth engagement program called PARI, the Political Awareness and Respect Initiative. And it is my hope that something of that nature will be revived in the coming years. Of course, with the change, we would have liked to know that concerns of previous ombudsmen, such as addressing the roots of public apathy, the need for the party leaders to be more publicly responsive to recommendations, as is required under the Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct, whether the new mandate addresses these matters. I don't know the answer to that, and I guess we will see when we see recommendations from the ECJ Political Ombudsman Commission. And let me say that they are trying to share information, but I'm only aware of the one statement. So if others have other information as to what matters have been investigated and the outcomes and so on, then I think it would be good for us to know. I want to say the ECJ is defined by law and has some heavy functions. Policies for regulating elections, conducting elections, maintaining a register of voters, monitoring election expenditure and complaints, and review constituencies and their boundaries. These are so important. The ECJ, I say, absolutely is comprised of esteemed and distinguished national leaders, appointed because of their high reputations, as well as political representatives who hold high responsibilities in their political parties. So far, the ECJ's conduct has escaped political color, and their recommendations by protocol have been traditionally accepted by both sides of the Parliament without amendment. As I come to the last few words of my presentation, let me say Jamaica's democratic infrastructure remains strong, but we, the citizens, must guard it from arbitrary, ill-considered decisions. It is important, Kiwanians and friends, that each and every one of us has the knowledge and the confidence in ourselves to play our part. Nunc Kiwanis, share what you know. Be an active citizen who encourages people to file written reports, to establish public trust and confidence in the apparatus of the state, its functionality and respect for elected officials who serve us is very important in our democracy. We need independent, bold, proactive, neutral, and confidential actions. The ECJ was recently the subject of a Don Anderson poll, 2 questions. The opportunity to increase the powers, sanctions, and address the weaknesses in the political ombudsman law was missed in 2024, but it's not too late. Don Anderson's poll, if I have got it correct, the ECJ was rated negatively by 68% of respondents as the POC. So it's carrying out its function as a political ombudsman commission, rated negatively by 68% of the respondents. 71% of respondents said they prefer a standalone political ombudsman commission, which would of course allow for independent, quick and clear action in the face of political misconduct. Knowledge is power. Let us support the worthy members of the ECJ with the additional function of political ombudsman. Encourage people to file written reports rather than taking the law into their hands. Advocate for compliance by our political actors. Perhaps in 2026, after the elections are over, we can restore a standalone commission as recommended by the Constitutional Reform Commission and others. Please make sure you are enumerated and that you vote. It is your civic duty. The vote was hard won, hard fought, and should not be treated lightly. Yes, you may have to choose between 2 imperfect options, but no one promised us perfection. They just promised us responsibility. Share what you know. God bless Jamaica. God bless the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and all your other members across Jamaica and the world. Thank you for the important work you do for the children and in many other places. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Donna. I have a question. We're gonna open it up for questions, but
Yes, thank you.
maybe you could share with us what's the process for somebody to lodge a, I don't know if it's, you say lodge a complaint with the
Yes.
political ombuds. How does one go about doing that?
Well, what has been put forward by the ECJ POC is that it is to be in writing. It can be by letter delivered or it can be online. No. So that's the way it's done. I have to say that when I was the ombudsman, although the law says complaints are to be in writing, complaints, I also got a lot of information on the phone, you know, where people sent me photographs and videos of things they observed. And people who did not necessarily want their names to be attached to a complaint, but which would have allowed me to go to a location and make an observation based on my observation to write to the persons involved, the political actors involved, call them in for a meeting with or without their legal representatives and have a discussion with them about how to remedy as to whether there was a breach, and if there was a breach, how the breach would be remedied, and whether or not there would be an apology or any other action in the public space. So a written report, but I do believe it should be possible to also provide insight, which is not exactly a complaint, but a direction to the ECJ to go and investigate something.
Okay, thank you. And I'm wondering if people are conscious of this. Well, let me put it another way. If people are conscious of what should not be done and what, or is it that they just have to feel that this don't look right, therefore let me, make some noise about it?
You mean the
Because
politicians?
it's not like laws. It's not like, I don't think it's really like the laws and and something is illegal. It's
Yeah.
You just have to have a feeling that this is not right. Is that it?
No, not at all. The Political Ombudsman Interim Act gives the legal basis for investigating the actions that breach the agreement and declaration on political conduct, which lays out, I'll tell you, lays out, I think, 9 sections that essentially say these things are not permitted, which the parties have agreed to. Non-violence and non-intimidation, safety of private and public property, avoidance of confrontation. So, for example, I remember going into a constituency where there was a report from one candidate that when they went into campaign, they were stopped by the other party representatives coming out and stopping them from coming in. That would have been a confrontation that would have been in breach of the agreement. And therefore, the ombudsman would have been able to act upon that. Or another similar case where they were holding a meeting and the other party came out with a loud sound system that made it impossible for them to do what they were doing. So those are provocative acts. Of course, public utterances, and we know that there are many things that are said on the party platform, but where they're inflammatory or likely to incite others to confrontation or violence, or they constitute slander or libel, or they're malicious. Those are the kinds of things that are in breach of the code that the ombudsman is legally entitled to call them in on and to, require an adjustment and action or action by the leader of the party in respect of the conduct of the member. Avoidance of the, there are a couple more,
Yeah, no. Okay, I think the reason why I raised that is that I have a feeling that the people who are in politics are probably aware of these things. The people who are not in the politics in an active way probably are not so conscious of what these particular guidelines are. Where would somebody who wanted to know, where would they find this? Where would that information reside? What you're reading from?
Right, so you can Google the Joint Agreement and Declaration on Political Conduct.
Okay.
And you can also Google the Political Ombudsman Interim Act and the amendment. Political Ombudsman Interim Act.
And that ebook, does that ebook contain some of these things? Would the ebook
a little
have it?
bit. It does have some of it, but not so much because it's really talking more widely about civic life.
Okay.
So it's touched on, but that's not the focus of that publication. And I'll just say, you mentioned that, maybe the political actors would know, but this is one of the reasons why in every parish we would hold the code signing event and go through the code and the law to the candidates, because in every election you have a number of new candidates. And the new candidates may have no knowledge whatsoever about this. They may broadly know that there's something, but they don't know exactly how it works and what it is. So we take that opportunity during the campaign to educate them on that and have them sign committing to. And the vast majority of the candidates, are very happy to know and are very amenable to what is provided for. It is just that the ones who breach the rules, it's so loud and so public that sometimes this gives us the impression that everybody is behaving badly.
Okay. I see a hand up. DP Marcel, your time.
Thank you, my friend. Good evening, all. And thanks very much for a wonderful presentation, former ombudsman. Quick question. I must confess, it was very interesting hearing all the eras and the roles and the office covers, but I must confess that I would have been among some, maybe many, who thought that the office, your office, was not effective enough because there didn't seem to be the ability to, Jamaica's biggest problem is probably enforcement. So my question is, breaches occur, what the next step? Well, this first step, call in, discuss, give directives. If those are not followed, how is it enforced? Is there any penalty, any penalizing? Did the office have that kind of power, or should it, to enforce? And if directives are given and it's not carried out, what's next to make your office effective and impactful?
Having sat in the chair for 7 years, mainly standing and walking and driving around Jamaica, I considered in the tenure of Bishop Blair and myself that the office was extremely effective in addressing issues and concerns that arose, which were breaches of the code or potential breaches. If you think about in normal human life, if we were to use punishment for every infraction, serious or minor, we would spend a lot of time cutting up and hurting one another, and a lot of time building up animosity, very little time moving forward in achieving what we're trying to do. Now, the thinking of the people who established the agreement and declaration is that we want to live in a decent country. We want to encourage our politicians to be active. We want to encourage people to go into politics. And we want to remind them that there's a framework. You're not a king. You're not on your own. You just can't do what you want. There are consequences. So, we have seen ourselves as a country reduce victimization, for example. We have seen ourselves reduce a number of things because we have had these conversations. So I saw an interview of a senior politician on CBM recently, and she said that the politicians were always very, very anxious and concerned when they were called in. They didn't want to be called in by the ombudsman. They didn't want to have to come in and explain themselves. They didn't want to be told anything. And they would I've had meetings with political people on two sides where there are two political people, there are two gen secretaries, two lawyers on each side. And they come in to discuss the matter before. So they obviously think it's important and think it's serious. No politician wants me to come to the media and say, I found that the person in fact breached. And if I come out and say I found they breached, they would like to hear me say, and they have apologized, not just saying I'm sorry, but they have acknowledged that their conduct was inappropriate, in breach, harmful, and commit to not repeat. Now, the ones you see repeating, the 3 or 4, maybe 1 or 2, you see repeating. I've never had the pleasure of having them before me, nor did Bishop Blair. So maybe there's a 4% of people or 5% who ignore, right? So if you have in an election, you have 130 candidates between the two main parties and others. And there are 2 of them who refuse to come in when you call, but another 20 come in. I think those odds are pretty good.
I have to agree. I mean, if
thank you.
As I'm saying, it's very informative because I'm getting information now that the public was really not aware of.
And if I may, just one more point. I came to the job having been the founding CEO of the Dispute Resolution Foundation, Director of Justice Reform in the Ministry of Justice. So for me, the use of mediation and
Yes.
arbitration
Yes.
were very important resources that I
Yes.
had at my disposal,
Yes.
which had previously been used to settle $50 million Jamaican cases or family disputes that had been going on for 15 years, or massive breakdown in churches, or community disputes that had been going on for years.
Yes.
Much tougher matters than I dealt with as ombudsman.
Okay, I accept that principle. My concern was if that fails, I mean, elsewhere, if mediation fails, then there was a next step that you went to.
They would have resort to the court. So if
Okay.
we agreed on certain behavior,
Yes.
and one party did not do what was agreed,
Yes.
if the other person felt sufficiently aggrieved,
Yes, they could go to the courts.
you'll
Okay.
have the right to take the matter to court.
I follow you. I follow you. Okay.
But that never happened in the 7 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Marcel.
You're welcome.
May I ask a question, please?
Please do.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, is the political...
May I see you, President?
Oh, hi. Good evening. Let me open my camera.
Thank you so much. Oh, beautiful. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Okay, so is the political ombudsman separate and apart from the parliamentary ombudsman?
We no longer have a parliamentary ombudsman as an office. All the ombudsmen are commissions of parliament, right? So back in the day, we had a parliamentary ombudsman. We no longer have. Actually, what happened is that the political ombudsman and the public defender took on those responsibilities as separate commissions of parliament.
So if the public has a matter separate and apart from
political,
right, political, who do they refer to?
The public defender. The public defender. Right now, that's Carolyn Reed Cameron. She's a public defender.
Okay.
So she is the commission of parliament, a commission soul. And if you have something with the police, then you go to INDICOM. Or if you have something about children, you go to the children's advocate. And so on. So I think there are about 6 commissions.
But they're all under now one house, then one umbrella, just different parts.
Look, they were all independent commissions of parliament with our own legislation, separate laws for each one. And the law provides for different responsibilities and different commissions, similar but different commissions to deal with our matters in the parliament. We report to the parliament separately as individual entities.
Thank you for that response.
Yes, thank you for that question.
There seem to be not a lot of commissions. Do you know just offhand how many there are that operate in this?
I mentioned 4, but I didn't mention the children's advocate, which would be 5, and the political ombudsman would have been standalone. It would have been 6.
So INDICOM is a commission, yes, operates as a commission as well.
Yes, it does. So INDICOM, Public Defender, Integrity Commission, Electoral Commission of Jamaica, Political Ombudsman, now merged with the ECJ. And did I say the children's advocate?
No, you didn't mention it. Yes,
children's advocate. So what it is that the parliament has there are many other people called commission, but many of them fall under ministries. So they're not they're independent, but they're not commissions of parliament in the same sense. But these particular ones have their own legislation, their own commissioners, and their own accountability structures and mandates.
Right.
Any idea where we got this model from? I mean, did we develop it on our own? I mean, even the ECJ is something that it seems like we developed and other countries could have adopted. But where did all of this come from?
That's, I was going to start with that and I decided not to. The concept of the ombudsman comes from ancient China. And
Okay.
it started where emperors would send their delegates out into the country to look at what was going on and report back, investigate,
Whoa.
report to keep the different public officials doing what they're supposed to do, to prevent corruption, to prevent abuse of the public trust, and maybe to make sure the emperor got his right money back
Whoa.
from.
Okay.
But ombudsman is I think, a Scandinavian or Swedish word. Somewhere in Europe, the word ombudsman comes from there. And in the 20th century, it became a thing in the Western world. But our particular commissions, I believe, it developed here for our needs, although
Yes.
similar to maybe in other countries.
Yeah.
You ready to see you put your hand back up? You wanted to ask another
Yes,
question?
I have another question. Thank you for identifying me, and great discussion so far. So can you please help me to understand, based on the makeup of the what you said, right? And you said it starts with four appointed, then two from each political party, so make it 8. But
Right.
so do they have a tiebreaker? Do they, how does this work? Because it seemed to me that it can become a little murky in making decisions.
Well, I think there are two problems there, and your point at the end, I think, definitely puts your finger on it, because we know how committees work, right? If you have to do something and a large group of people have to make a decision about the thing, and it's an even number, because I don't believe the director of elections would have a tie break. I think they've tried to work for unanimity or something like that in their normal work. So consensus is how
Consensus.
the ECJ normally works. And I think it's worked very well for them on a number of topics, even some hot topics. But when you're looking at a complaint where a person could be called out as being in breach and publicly, excoriated, then it's difficult to expect that the general secretary of a political party is going to be able to effectively participate in a complaint about the deputy gensec of his party. And the very
Asking too
members
much.
of the commission, the political members, may be subject of complaints because they're active in political life. They're on platforms or carrying out political functions, which could reach the code. So even the very ombudsman member could be a subject of a complaint.
Exactly.
Wow.
As we have seen, actually, at least 2 of them have been subject of complaints
Oh, yes.
before this. Before this. So I think it's and there's a reason why when the law was originally drafted, political actors were specifically excluded. But the way ECJ works is as a unit.
It seemed to me like there would be a problem with independence or yes, like the
Yes, both independence and effectiveness, I think, would be challenged. But we have not yet had a ruling on any matter, so it's hard for us to say whether or how. We know that there's at least one complaint coming out of Western Jamaica to do with the removal of billboards. That matter ended up in the court. But in my opinion, even if it's before the courts, it would not stop the ombudsman from making a ruling determining whether there was a breach or not. But I don't know if anyone has heard an outcome of that, but I have not.
Okay, I think we're getting close to wrap up time. If it, we can allow one more. I don't see any hands up right now. But there's something I'd like to mention. When I was doing a little research, call it Googling then, I saw printed material which said that the office was vacant. Now, it was not like 24 or 23. It was current 2025. So I don't know if that person was misinformed, but I wonder if people, because there's no single person who we now know as the ombudsman. I have a feeling that some people think that there is no ombudsman, because they're not aware of this new structure. So
I get
I'm
that a
wondering
lot.
if people think that it is vacant.
I get that a lot. You know,
Okay.
I get that a lot, where people think the office has been closed down or that there is nobody there. And that is why, you know, in my tenure, I've made myself very available to the media and for other presentations, because the entity belongs to the public and it is there to help give the public assurance that politicians are not left to run and do whatever they wish, but that there is an accountability mechanism that they can look to. So I had a lot of consultations and also a lot of media time, not just because I like to hear my voice, but because I think the people who pay me are entitled to know that what I'm doing and how that can positively, you know, impact. I mean, we're seeing a lot of material out now, which is legitimate because we're in the campaign period, but there will be a problem as usual after the election as to the timeliness of the removal of these materials. It was very interesting that a municipality took down signs because it's been difficult over the years to bring the municipalities to the table to get them to bring down signs, because it's really their duty to manage how the signage is done, but the ombudsman's duty to point it out and to encourage them to do what is right. I think I got them. There was a massive sign, you know, a couple months after an election in one town, and I had to call on them after the candidates had failed to respond. So there's always, so let's say that would be an enforcement mechanism, Marcel, that you can then put in another institution who has a direct legal responsibility to support the work of the ombudsman.
Oh, you could actually direct that other entity to do it?
Not direct, call on them, because I sent letters out to every municipality to say, look, this is your responsibility. See that this is done. But in a particular case where it was very, very bad, I was able to, you know, talk with them enough to get them to do it. But you have to realize that the municipality is made up of politicians. Right? That's calling on the politicians to enforce against maybe their own members, their mentor, you know, maybe their political mentor. So you really have to stay on the job in the public.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have covered it. I want to hand it back to the president, but let me ask you one thing. Did you say during your presentation, did I hear you say that after the elections, there could be a return to the single person for the ombudsman? I'm not sure if I heard you right, or if you're speculating that this is a possibility.
I'm saying that they should. I'm not really speculating. I'm encouraging that be done. It's too late to do it now.
Yes.
But looking at the public response to it, looking at its effectiveness up to now, and looking at how important a part of the democratic infrastructure it is, I would strongly encourage the administration after this election to revert to the political ombudsman, as the Constitutional Reform Commission has recommended also.
Okay. President Stephen, back to you.
Thank you, DP Stu, and thank you, Mrs. Parchment Brown. But to properly thank you for your insight and your presentation, I'm going to invite DP Rupert, who I saw online momentarily, to address our guest speaker. Over to you, Rupert.
Thank you, Prez. I've been in a class. We have all been in class this evening, and I don't know how to address the Honorable Donna Parchment Brown, whether I should call her your royal ambience or your most excellent superwoman for all that you told us tonight. If I had a question to ask, it would have been, why not? Why we should vote for you for another 5 years, but let that be. We just want to say thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for enlightening our minds this evening. Many of us have been following what has been happening with the subsuming of the office in the ECJ. And like yourself, we hope that after the elections, we will have a standalone ombudsman, political ombudsman office. But on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and all our fellow Kiwanians and friends who are online with us, we just want to tell you so much how grateful we are that you came to be with us this evening. You still look young. You have been doing a lot for Jamaica over the years, and I hope that you. I don't know many people, but I'm gonna ask that we put you back somewhere where you can enlighten the nation. We need it, that kind of education. You mentioned that knowledge is power, and it's true. A lot of Jamaicans don't know. We hear a little bit here and a little bit there, but what you have done tonight is elevate our thoughts, enlighten our minds, and we just want to say thanks. The Kiwanis Club of Kingston has a tradition. We usually give a certificate of thanks to our guest speakers. We have one for you that DP Stu is gonna get to you, or the president is gonna get to you, just to show appreciation and for staying on with us for such a long time this evening. Many, many, many thanks. After the elections, it will be great if I'm gonna challenge DP Stu to get you back to give your thoughts after a while, to see if this office is returned to its former glory. Once again, ma'am, on behalf of all of us, to you, thank you so much. And may you continue to be an asset, a blessing, a gift to Jamaica. Thanks.
Thank you so much. It was my real pleasure and honor to be with you this evening. Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you. And so say all of us from Kiwanis Club of Kingston.
And DP Rupert, you will have to pay for that comment about she's still looking young. I don't know what you expected.
I'm avoiding a fine. I won't say anything.
No. All right. And Mrs. Parchment Brown, you're welcome to. We're going to wind up the with friends, and we may have a few more questions post meeting, if you have the time.
I can stay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Kiwanian Kingston members, I'm going to ask for a motion to extend the meeting. We're running a little bit late, but can I have an extension for another 5 minutes to conclude the meeting?
Right.
A mover, that's DLG Willie, and a seconder, please.
Seconded, Press.
All right, duly noted. Thank you. We don't have a sergeant at arms for this meeting, but I'm just going to put a blanket fine. I'm going to ask all those members, in light of our recent presentation, those who have a valid voter's ID, pay $300, and those who don't have a valid ID or plan to get enumerated in the next 2 months, pay $400. And please make the payment into our administrative accounts. We need the funds. So thank you, and I hope that you're inspired by Mrs. Parchment Brown's presentation as to the importance of adult suffrage and exercising your right to vote. Mrs. Parchment Brown, you'll now see the certificate that we mentioned earlier on screen now.
Thank you.
And you'll get the physical copy in due course. But again, on behalf of Kingston Club, thank you so very much for your presentation. Very timely and appropriate. I'm going to now move to notices and announcements for Kiwanis Club of Kingston. And I'm going to hand to dear Secretary, DLG Willie, to share with us some events that are coming up in the next week or so. Over to you, Willie.
Thank you, President. Regarding notices and announcements, just to reinforce your appeal early on regarding a National Dance Theatre benefit performance on Saturday, July 19th, the Little Theatre at 8 p.m. Cost a ticket $4,000. The response to date has been far less than what I would have expected by now, but I'm sure that members will be calling regarding their tickets. Just to remind you that on July 19th as well during the morning session at 9 o'clock of the DC 23, Division 23 Central, Big Five training that includes the President, President-elect, President-elect, Secretary, Treasurer, and Membership Committee Chairman. Has been held at Betting Game and Lottery Commission, 78 CF, 10 Hagley Park Road. That's July the 19th. By now, our Big Five should have registered for the conference. And then the following Saturday, July 26th at 9 a.m., we're having the Division 23 East and 23 Central Sports Day. That's going to be held at Usain Bolt Oval. That is Huey Mona Bowl. We're part of Yellow House, which includes Kiwanis clubs of Papine, Meadowvale, St. Andrew, 23 Soundline, and Constant Spring. And in regards to interclub opportunities, I'll be circulating the schedule from tomorrow morning, but I would really like to thank the members of Kiwanis Club of Coastal Trelawney, President Kotisha and her members who faithfully have been attending our meetings on Tuesday. They have their special meeting on Thursday night, so I'm going to make a special effort to see if we can get a team to visit them online on Thursday. That is Kiwanis Club of Coastal Trelawney. That's all the interclub opportunities for now. President, over to you.
Thank you, dear. Underscore. I'm going to open the platform to visiting Kiwanian clubs if they have any event they would like to share with us at this time. Any event or special event that they would like to bring to the attention of the audience?
Hey, President Stephen.
Going once.
This President Eddie.
Yes. Yes, President Eddie. And I got your greetings earlier. I just didn't unmute. Thank you very much. But the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Just a reminder that I know Kingston Club is supporting our governor for the ball. Just reminding all listening members that's the 29th of August. And we're looking forward to meeting a lot of you. Yes. We are coming down for the ball. And we have members who will be attending. Our members will be some will be attending. So we look forward to a good evening and a good support from the rest of the clubs. Thank you.
Thank you, President Eddie. And that's from Global Alliance, and he's referring to the governor's ball that is coming up in August. If there is no other announcements, I'm going to take the opportunity. DP Marcel, I'm going to bypass the thought of the week unless you particularly want to do it this week and move to the termination, because I think everybody like to move on. It's totally your discretion. Did you have something? I don't want
I quickly say it because I quickly say it. I have it. It's quite befitting. Anger is a punishment.
Sorry, my apologies.
Okay, no, but that's all right.
Slowly.
Anger is a punishment we give ourselves for somebody else's mistake. That's it.
One more time, please.
Anger is a punishment we give ourselves for somebody else's mistake.
Okay.
Indeed. So that is the thought of the week, something to dwell on as we we wish for everybody a positive and a righteous week on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Like I said before, we're going to formally terminate the meeting. But you're welcome to stay on the platform. We can have some fellowship and catch up with Mrs. Parchment Brown or anybody else that you see online that you'd like to link up with. So almost like if there was a physical meeting after the meeting, there is a chance off the record, off the recording. So we offer you that opportunity. So without further ado, I'd like to take the opportunity to, before we terminate, is to ask each person if you have a glass nearby or a virtual glass, to raise your glasses and wish a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica, land we love. This terminates the meeting of Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Thank you one and all for attending.